There we got it. All right, so welcome everybody to the April 2022 PSCP webinar. And if you experience any issues or you have questions or you have technology difficulties throughout this next hour, you can contact Courtney. If you're in the Colorado State system, you can IM her. If not, you can email her at courtney.osborne@state.co.us. And she just put her email in the chat for you. Reach out to her if you have any issues. If you have questions and we get to the question and answer period, or when we have generally speaking, just remember to unmute so that you can ask those questions or make those comments. We welcome that and we want you to get engaged and communicate with us. There's where the unmute button is in Zoom. I think by now everybody probably knows this. We've been doing a lot of remote and virtual meetings, I'm sure. And remember, we have the chat pane. We'll communicate a lot that way as well. So PSCP April 2022, and this is a very appropriate slide for April as spring is here and things are starting to grow. My grass is finally getting a little green, so I'm very excited about that. And why are we here? The PSCP, basically, we're a group of people from government agencies. We come together to talk about change management, learn from each other, build our knowledge, inspire each other, and just be here for each other. And basically, our bottom line is we want to work to ensure that those impacted by change are successful with that change. So our agenda for today, we already did jokes. They were bad, but they were jokes. We talked about our purpose and we welcomed you. So that's our first item on the agenda. Now the next step is we're going to talk about the PSCP board. We're going to give some announcements. And then we have AJ from Denver Peak Academy here today. Yay, AJ! She's going to talk about change management, breaking down resistance before it starts. And I've seen the presentation and it is amazing. So I can't wait to see AJ present it today. Very cool. And then we'll have a Q&A with AJ at the end, and then we'll close out for the day. So welcome. And in case you missed it, we do have some new board members, newish board members. Melissa Lill joined our board as program support lead, and Courtney Osborne joined our board as production lead. So welcome to them. We have nearly a full board now, and we are so excited because I tell you what, our last couple board meetings have been exciting, and we're like really on, I feel that energy, and I'm just so excited. So the board is awesome. I just want to say thank you. And this is the entire board right now. Myself, Claire Anderson, who is not here today. She will be back hopefully by next month. Melissa Lill, Elizabeth Schluck, and Corey Niemeyer and Courtney Osborne. So that's our board. So this is the announcement, get involved section of our agenda today. And I did this literally, Courtney can attest, about working on it about 20 minutes before today's session. So, and I tend to do that. I always start making changes and adding things to presentations right before, and kind of weird that way. But I wanted you to know what the board is working on right now. We have been diving deep into, planning webinars for the next year and a half. And we decided to change things up a little bit. So we're still going to have our case studies like today's, but we're also going to add in more panels. And we're going to start, and we've never done this before, some workshops. And so if you have ideas on panel topics that you'd like to, see or hear about, or ideas on workshops, please let us know. I'm in charge of the first workshop. We all are taking turns on doing different ones. So, and I haven't come up with a really good idea yet. And I would love to hear from you if you'd like, something workshop-y. I would love to hear from you so we can do it. I'm also, the board is also, we decided to apply to PMI for roundtable status. And if we get that, we could offer PDUs for this hour. And so that's something we're looking into. I just wanted you guys to be aware. And newsletter, we added a new section to our newsletter, the spotlight on the board of directors. And the last newsletter, I went ahead and I was the guinea pig, and I did my story out there. Has a picture of my kids and my husband with me. It's like really cool. So if you didn't see it, check it out. But we would love to have a spotlight on PSCP members. as well. And so if you want to let us know about your story, send us a picture, we'll get you into a newsletter. I think it would be really cool, because then we all can start getting to know each other a little bit more. And then when we show up for our monthly or bi-monthly webinars, we kind of have a, an inkling of who everybody is. And we can reach out to each other. Just last week, Alicia, I see her here today. We just last week, we had a collaboration session on a project she's working on with somebody else that had already delivered a similar project. So just making these connections helps us all. So if you have other innovative ideas that you'd like to see happen with the PSCP, please let us know. Doug Oates, who presented at our last webinar, came to us and said, hey, I have this great idea. I want to do change management podcasts, and we'll put them on the PSCP. And I'm like, that is amazing. So, he's working on that now. So hopefully we'll be adding that to our website soon. But if you have other ideas that you want to, provide or talk about or even do, we are so open to that. So I just wanted to let you know, that's kind of what we've been working on. Your voice is very important to us. Please, reach out, let us know if you want to present, if you just want to share resources, make sure to complete the survey after every webinar, because that's how we get some feedback from you. And, ask a lot of questions, just, engage and be involved. And my bottom line that I just wrote like 5 minutes before this is that the more we engage, collaborate, and encourage each other, the more we will all accomplish. Helping each other, help others adjust to and adopt change is why we're here. So take a leap, join us, reach out, participate. We definitely want to hear from you. And I haven't been able to keep up with chat through this, so sorry. And here's a funny, who wants to change? Who wants to change? Who wants to lead the change? And I think we all face that on a normal basis in our lives. And it's very true. So just a quick funny. So I'm going to quick check the chat pane really quick. Oh, we got another joke. What is Santa's favorite band? Led Zeppelin. That's awesome. AJ, yep, cool. Let's see. Oh, awesome. Great job, Amy. Thank you. I was like a little bit nervous about putting my personal stuff out there, but I did it. So if I can do it, everybody can. A PDU, what is a PDU? It's like a continuing education credit that you can get. Like if you have a PMP and you need to keep up, continuing education credits, you can get those from attending different things. And I believe ACMP too. I think I need to look into ACMP a little bit more. In fact, I was just thinking about that this morning. I want to reach out to them and see if they have something similar, which I'm sure they do. So, okay. So caught up on chat. Now I'm going to introduce AJ from Denver Peak Academy. AJ, thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so you can share yours. And AJ is going to talk to us about breaking down resistance before it even starts.
All right. All right, can everyone share or see my screen and hear me okay?
I don't see your screen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's webinar. I will talk about how to break down the resistance to change before it begins. So just some quick facts about me, your presenter. My name is Ajane Kennedy. You can call me AJ for short. And I'm passionate about people, process improvement, and public service. These passions led me to my current role as a continuous improvement specialist for Denver Peak Academy at the City and County of Denver. And I've been here for about 4.5 months, and I love it. I put in county because I don't plan on going anywhere. So I had to make that very clear. And my favorite part about the job is just working with employees from all kinds of different city agencies and learning about the important work that everyone does and helping them reach their goals more efficiently by eliminating their pain points and their frustrations. It's been really fulfilling to watch people transition from feelings of major frustration to feelings of excitement and relief once they leave one of our trainings, workshops, rapid improvement events, or just interactions with Peak. So that's been really fun to see. And then a few fun facts about me. I have one of my favorite quotes at the bottom that you can take a look at, but I am a Colorado native. I absolutely love cake. It's a love and hate relationship there. I'm sure you can imagine why. And I love doing anything that's active, bowling, painting. I actually just painted an owl at Canvas and Cocktails this past weekend. It came out pretty good. So anything active with a competitive edge, I do love to engage in.
I'm going to jump in really quick, AJ. We can't see your slides. We cannot see your slides.
Oh, you cannot see my slides.
I love the love-hate relationship with cake. I have it too.
Let me see. Can you see my slides now?
No.
No. I don't know why this is doing this.
There we go. I see something.
Okay.
We see it. Well, we see a blue background windows. There we go. Yep.
Okay. All right. And so today I will talk about Peak Academy's philosophy on change management. And I'll go into a merger project I'm working on for the Department of Safety and talk about how that project has been working. That's my change management project. So we'll get into that. So the core of change management is the understanding of people. If we understand their behaviors, their perspectives, their habits, their emotions, and insights, then we will know how and where to meet people, and we can strategically shift these things to make them more open to adopting the new state. It's important to understand that people make the processes. The processes do not exist without the people. So the people must be the focus. And I will sound like a broken record throughout this presentation because I'm going to say that several times. But this is Peak's philosophy on change management in a nutshell. And this is the base for the way we lead our change efforts. So when leading a change effort, it is important to understand that resistance to change is likely to happen, but not all change is resisted. The book Switch by Dan and Chip Heath talks about how people don't resist massive changes, such as having babies, getting married, accepting a new job. We actually volunteer for these massive changes, yet other behaviors are intractable when it comes to other changes. And this paints the picture that there are difficult changes and easy changes. However, no matter the difficulty of the change, one thing remains the same to achieve successful change. And that is that it requires the leader to do three things at once. Those three things are directing the rider, motivating the elephant, and shaping the path. This three-part framework is what you need to change behavior successfully. So starting with directing the rider, it's all about presenting data and facts to provide crystal clear direction on where we want to go, appealing to our rational mind and our analytical mind. And then motivating the elephant, our emotional mind, the other half of our brain, engaging people's emotional side and getting their elephants on the path and cooperating. We call the emotional mind the elephant because it's heavy, it's hard to push, it's hard to want to work out, right? It's hard to want to do anything that's hard. So we have to motivate that giant elephant. And to do this, you must find the emotional connection and shrink the change. And if you want to change things effectively and successfully, you have to appeal to both the rider and the elephant. The rider provides the planning and direction, and the elephant provides the energy and the motivation. Then you have to bring it all together by shaping the path. And shaping the path involves altering the situation to make the journey easier. When you shape the path, you make the change more likely no matter what's happening with the rider and the elephant. You can do this by tweaking the environment, building habits, rallying the herd, and repeating over and over and over. And if you can do all of these three things at once, you can achieve dramatic change, even if you don't have a lot of power or resources behind you. So this is Peak's innovation form that we use to guide all innovations for anyone who goes through our trainings. And this is a form that really directs the writer and motivates the elephant, specifically in the red section where we start with why. When you start with why, your what becomes clearer and more impactful. So that's why we start there. Here in the red section, we present the data behind the problem by comparing the current state to the future state, utilizing metrics like costs, errors, amounts, time, and savings. This is where you also capture your qualitative data or your feelings. Are you frustrated in the current state? And in the future state, are you excited? Are you happy? And you develop a compelling why change is needed statement that really hits the emotional core of your audience. So this is getting your writer and your elephant on board, and the writer and the elephant of others you're presenting to that you need their support from. This is how you get them on board as well. So when it comes to motivating people's elephants, you must be emotionally intelligent. So important. Emotional intelligence consists of these 4 abilities: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. These abilities are important because change isn't necessarily about what is happening, but it's more so about how you respond to it. And by being aware of your own response and in tune with the response of others, you can effectively manage change. So how do you apply emotional intelligence to change management? Well, you can utilize the voice of the customer and understand the emotions and the perspectives of others, really utilizing that empathy with that social awareness. You can coordinate gimbal walks or process mapping sessions to get all viewpoints at the table to increase understanding and build that consensus with everyone. And you can celebrate successes and collect feedback to build and maintain those trusting relationships. So innovation cannot happen in isolation. If we're able to think like an innovator, and to the left, I have the 8 characteristics of the innovator's mindset. That involves being empathetic, reflective, resilient, creative, observant. It involves networking, taking risks, and seeking out those problems. And if we can do those things, then we will create better ideas. But you see those 8 characteristics involve collaboration. So it takes people to make change, not a person to make change. You have to bring people on board with you. You have to find an understanding with one another to move forward. So collaboration is that vehicle to move forward with change. If we're isolated, like that image on the right with the thumbs down, we'll never be able to pull together to achieve change. And remember, the processes don't exist without the people. So shaping the path. There are certain people that we should focus on. When I talk about pulling together, we should focus on certain people when we are initiating change efforts to achieve that change. And those are your change champions that you see on the left-hand side of this curve, which I'll discuss the curve a little later. But the curve involves your innovators and your early adopters. Your change champions are people who agree that particular change is necessary. They believe the benefits outweigh the challenges. They have good relationships with other team members. They can help communicate that compelling why change is needed statement. And they're willing to put in the work to make change successful. Now, this innovation adoption curve of Rogers is a model that classifies adopters of innovations into various categories. So you have your innovators, your early adopters, your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. And it's based on the idea that certain individuals are inevitably more open to adaptation than others. So we bring along our change champions to support change efforts. Unfortunately, the laggards, they are who they are. They're not going to initially be excited for change. It's going to take a lot more effort to bring them along. So we have to focus on the group that is excited for change and can move that forward. And we have to hope that the laggards and the late majority will follow their lead. However, there are situations we may come across where the laggard is in front of you as a barrier to change. This could be a leader or a stakeholder you must get on board to proceed with the change. Your initiative requires their support. So it's crucial to get them out of your way. In these instances, you must create connection and really exercise your emotional intelligence to get immovable laggards on your side and out of your way. So now I'm going to go into discussing the particular project I'm working on. which is the merger between the two groups, youth programs and the Office of Community Violence Solutions, OCVS, under the Department of Safety. Peak Academy's role in this merger is to guide the two teams through the transition by facilitating a series of workshops designed to gather feedback in response to the merger, analyzing value streams, assessing strengths, and strategically planning the path of the new division while building trust along the way. So our first workshop was held on December 14th of last year. And I will say that we did begin each workshop with a welcoming ritual, and some workshops did also end with an optimistic closure. And this was to create an icebreaker and a team builder. With two new teams coming together where there's unfamiliarity with one another, we thought this would be a great start to each workshop to build that trust and collaboration throughout the workshop process. We've done 4 workshops so far, so I'll walk you through each of those workshops. So the welcoming ritual for workshop number 1, we had everyone sit at their tables, which were tables of 4, and everyone had to talk with the people at their table. They had to discuss their name, their pronouns, their agency, their favorite part about their job, and what brings them joy outside of work. Once they discussed those things and wrote them down, they had to partner with someone at their table and they had to pair up and introduce each other. So that was a fun introduction into our workshop series. After the welcoming ritual, the leadership, they took some time to share their vision of the merger, which was good to build that culture of transparency, so everyone can understand what the goal is for the merger. And after leadership took the time to summarize the vision, we held a crucial feedback gathering, where we gave everyone the opportunity to express the things that they love most about their current work situation that they don't want to change with the merger, the opportunities they see with combining teams, and the concerns they have about merging. Collecting the concerns is just as important as collecting the things that you love. If you change the things you love, that people love, you're going to get resistance. So it's important to keep those things and leverage them to make a change that people will that will appeal to everyone. So as you can see, some of the things people love, being able to work at the school. So these are groups that are very actively involved in the community, working with different youth and families and adults. So they love having that field work, that flexibility and autonomy, and some opportunities that they see with the merge, more opportunities to grow and learn, more support, new ideas, no longer working in silos, coming together. And then some of the concerns that they have are changes in leadership, changes in roles, and organizational structure. So we definitely took those concerns and we wanted to find out how we could properly address those concerns. So we did also ask them a question of how they would like their concerns to be addressed. This goes into learning your audience, what are their needs, really getting that voice of the customer that I expressed earlier. So some of the things that came out of that, people would like to have open and honest communication, that transparency, and they would really like to be involved in things like policies and procedures, and they really value team building activities. So these are things that leadership could take into account as they move forward with the merger, but it was also helpful for Peak Academy to see these things because it helped us strategically tailor our workshops in a way that would appeal to all of their needs. So the next activity we did in the first workshop was have everyone identify their value streams. What are your buckets of work? What services do you provide? And what processes are needed in order to provide those services? We had them identify their value streams to become more familiar with what they are doing. And we used this in a later workshop that I'll get to, but this was just an example of the value streams identified by one of the employees. As you can see bolded in the top, mentorship, case management, and MDT, CBCR, those are a couple programs that they're involved in specifically, but those are their main value streams. And below are all the sub-processes that are involved with each of those value streams. And I'll go into later about how we utilize those. So Peak Academy loves to get feedback so that we can do better and see what we're doing well. So at the end of each workshop, with the exception of workshop 3, I believe, we did a plus delta. On the left, we have our pluses. What are the things we did well? What are the things you don't want to change about our content, our facilitation, the workshops in general? And then on the right, we have our deltas. What are things that didn't work so well? What are the things we can change? So some of the things that they thought could change were perhaps sitting with different people. The first workshop, you're coming in, you're sitting next to people you're familiar with. That's natural. Maybe we mix it up the next workshop. Perhaps providing more visuals and being more clear in your direction on activities. So those are some of the things we did take into account, but we did have more pluses, which is a positive. They liked the independent work. They also loved the group interaction. So having that mixture, the engagement was great. Open communication, good clarification, a lot of answers to questions. So those are things we could leverage going into our future workshops. So at the end of this workshop, we did do an optimistic closure, and we asked everyone in the group, what do you need to stay ignited? Is it communication? Is it passion? Is it appreciation, celebration? So we have about 10 different words that we posted around the room, and we had everyone stand under the word that they use, that they consider that they need to stay ignited. That was good for everyone in the group to see what every other person in their group needs to stay ignited, because that will help with communication and collaboration among group members, but that also helped Peak see what each person needs to stay ignited so that we can facilitate in a way that meets all of their needs and communicate individually with each employee to help them stay ignited throughout this merger process. So after the workshop, my colleague and I compiled all the crucial feedback and the value streams into a spreadsheet and sent it to their leadership for review and analysis. So workshop number 2, we did get that crucial feedback that was sent to leadership. They took all of the concerns that were expressed and they developed an action plan that directly addressed each concern, which I thought was a good strategy, because you do want to ease concerns as you're going through a big of a change as a merger. So here's an example of one of their pages from their action plan, and we gave them the opportunity to read the full action plan to the group, but also having the group express wanting to be involved and hearing their voices. We thought it'd be good to have a feedback session. So we asked everyone in the group to respond with which action items they liked, which action items they were concerned about, and which action items are missing that are not in the action plan that should be added. So we allowed them the full time throughout the second workshop. They could grab a sticky note and Sharpie and they could post on the board throughout the workshop to see if they had any feedback to the action plan. They did not have any feedback, so that let us know that the action plan was on the right track. So with those value streams that were identified from the first workshop, we utilized those and had the table of 4s, everyone sitting in their group table, we had them discuss with each other their value streams. And the purpose of this activity was to find if there are opportunities for cross-functional collaboration, seeing if there's overlap in roles and responsibilities, and finding out if merging teams with similar roles and responsibilities evolve the output of work. So the groups got to talk together and figure out specifically if there are opportunities for cross collaboration. And this slide just outlines some of the areas of cross collaboration that they found. So I did send this to leadership after the workshop, and this will help them be able to organize or structure the organization in the merger. So that was just for their own information. In workshop 2, we also did some mission and vision setting. So as separate groups, you have your own vision and mission. Coming together, you have to start from scratch. You're coming together as a new team. You have to have a new vision and mission that embodies both groups. So this goes in the strategic planning that we started to do with them. So we had them still sitting at their table groups of 4, and we had them start with the mission statement. The goal was to help them develop vision and mission statements that we could vote upon. And I will say that leadership going into this did already create a vision and mission statement, but knowing that the employees want to be involved in that, we thought this would be a good activity for them to really have their voices heard. So a mission statement should include, what do you do, why do you do it, and for whom do you do it? So we gave each group a Google Jamboard. that they put up their answers to these questions. And they were not expected to come up with a vision or mission statement. If they wanted to do so, they could. We have an example of Team Form's mission brainstorm board here, where they did answer the questions in the blue sticky notes, and the green and yellow stickies are their attempts of coming up with mission statements. We did the same thing for the vision statements, and a vision should include, what do you want to achieve in the long run? What impact do you want to have on people and groups you interact with? And where do you want to go? So this is an example of Team 3's vision board, and they answered the questions in the yellow sticky notes, and we also allowed them to put images of where they see their team going in the future. Team 3 did not decide to come up with the vision statement, which is fine. So we took the mission and vision statements developed by those teams that created them, and we held a vote. But that activity did fail because all groups voted on their own statement. So it was very biased. However, Peak does not get discouraged by failure, because failure leads to breakthrough, right? So we figured out another way to approach this more successfully, and you'll see that outlined in a future workshop that I will go over. But touching again on the plus deltas and Peak always wanting to assess our performance, we did do a plus delta at the end of workshop 2. And as you can see, there are no deltas. I was thrilled to see that. We really do utilize the feedback that we get, and we really try to tailor it and make it better for our next workshop. So that did work here. We can see that I forgot to mention that in this workshop, we did do a welcoming ritual where we asked the group, what is your greatest accomplishment so far in life? And that conversation got really deep. I didn't expect it to get so deep so fast. And that really just showed me that the trust was building. People were being vulnerable. You can really see that culture being established in the room. So everybody loved the icebreaker, as you can see. The content wasn't as dry. They liked the group work. They felt it was more relaxed. They had a really fun time, and they believed that everyone benefited. So that was good to see that transition from the first workshop. So going into workshop 3, our welcoming ritual for this was asking the group, what are your personal values? And this actually tied into the theme of this workshop. And then after the welcoming ritual, we went into equity lens setting, where we partnered with the Mayor's Office of Social Equity and Innovation, or OSEI, where we had our partner come and teach a module on equity, because equity is such a strong city focus right now. So our partner went over what equity is and how the city of Denver is committed to enhancing equity, and also went over what agencies can do to increase equity. And the goal of this is to ground employees in equity and have them think about how they can keep equity in mind as they approach their work. So we also did some small group discussion and reflection about how and why is equity relevant to the way to the work you do. We also wanted to make sure we, as Peak Academy, going through this merger, taking them through this merger, we wanted to make sure we weren't leaving anyone behind, that there weren't any inequities there, that there weren't people who felt that their thoughts and opinions weren't being shown up in what we voted on or weren't being addressed. So the OSEI partnership in this project was actually a dual benefit for the agency and Peak. So after the equity lens setting, we went into brainstorming values. And as I talked about that theme, this was the theme for this workshop. So we had everyone answer questions as it relates to building values and identifying what your values are. So what are the key factors when our work is at its best? What does good look like as it relates to how we perform our duties and carry out our responsibilities? What does good look like as it relates to how we treat our customers? What does good look like as it relates to the value we bring to the organization? And what opportunities does our work and this merger provide to enhance racial and social equity in the city of Denver? So we had everyone write on sticky notes and Sharpies and post on the board their answers to these questions, and these would become their values. So during a break, my director did go through the stickies and she formed them into different themes. So those themes actually became the values, and those values are needs met, trust, teamwork, openness, communication, and compassion, community-centered, and be the change we want to see. So after we established those values, we had the groups break out into 4 different groups because we tackled 4 of these 6 values at the end of this session. And we had them come up with 3 to 4, how do you live it statements, and 3 to 4, how do you hire for it statements. It's important to know how you live these values to really identify what actions you take to really live in those values. You have values, but if you're not living them, the values aren't really in existence, right? So we had them develop statements to really embody what their values are. And then we had them put how do we hire for it statements, because if you're hiring someone for your organization, you want them to have the same values as you. So how are they also walking in these values that you have? So they did this for be the change we want to see, community-centered, needs met, and openness, communication, and passion. And this is just an example of the statements for the be the change we want to see. So after the values brainstorm for the first 4, we closed the workshop with an optimistic closure where we asked everyone to talk about a moment where you lived in your values. So the welcoming ritual was, what are your personal values? And we closed it with talking about how you lived in those values. So going into workshop 4, we also started with another welcoming ritual where we had everyone at their group tables. You had to find 10 things in common with the people at your table. And then they shared those things out, and that was a fun activity. After that welcoming ritual, we kicked off workshop 4 with finishing the how do we live it, how do we hire for it statements for the remaining 2 values, trust and teamwork. I will tell you throughout that process, we heard tons of laughter and jokes and conversation, and you honestly wouldn't have known that we were in a workshop working on stuff because everyone was just having such a good time. And that just shows, again, like the trust is building, the teamwork is building, that culture is really setting in. So that was really fun to see. It was hard to really tell them to quiet down and get back to work because it was beautiful to see that transition continue to grow. So touching back on mission and vision, as that failed the first time around, we decided to come back to that strategically. So my director and I got together and reviewed all of their brainstorm mission boards and their vision boards. And we came up with all the themes that came out of those responses to those questions. So some of the mission themes identified: community-centered involvement and outreach with all communities, fostering strong relationships, providing coordinated services, public safety response, intentional engagement, violence prevention, unity, and providing resources and solutions. We did the same for the vision. Some of those themes were safe and healthy communities. All communities are empowered. Communities are united. There's equity, diversity, and inclusion, and services are accessible. So we took these themes and we developed our own mission and vision statements that we could propose to the group to vote on. That way it wouldn't be biased, it's fair, and it's a clean slate for everyone to vote on their own mission and vision statement that they thought fits their group the best. So as you can see, on the top right-hand quadrant, we have the mission statements, and we have the current statement that was created initially by the leaders. We put that there as an option. And then on the right-hand side, we have our statements that we came up with that they voted on. As you can see, blown up on the right-hand side, the yellow sticky note, engaging with communities to empower tomorrow's leaders through coordinated resources and opportunities to create a safe and united Denver. That was the statement that they voted on. We did give them the opportunity, after displaying this to them, to talk about it with each other. They had the opportunity to express their thoughts, their opinions, build that consensus. And that did work because the consensus was built on this mission statement. We had them do the same thing for the vision statement. And the statement that is blown up in pink, a safe, healthy, and empowered community united through access and opportunity. That was the vision statement that the majority voted on. So that was really to make sure that they're involved in creating the vision and mission for their new division. So we also did a new team activity. With a new group comes a new name. So we gave everyone the opportunity to come up with potential names of this new division and have them write it down on sticky notes and post it on the board. And this is what we came up with. So you see Denver Safe City, Empowered Denver Safe City, Office of Neighborhood Safety. Those are some of the things that they came up with. And we will actually use this for another activity going forward. So I'm glad we got all that feedback. Again, involving everyone and making sure everyone has a say was key. So at the end of workshop 4, we did another plus delta. As you can see, there are a couple of deltas here, but it's nothing toward Peak Academy. It's more just uncertainty about the merger itself. So lack of clarity on how job roles will be impacted and just overall understanding on where we're going with the merger. Luckily, we've created an open and honest culture for these workshops. So one employee did bring up concerns about the merger itself, and leadership did address those concerns in the meeting. But perhaps we can take these deltas to leadership just to keep it in their back pocket and see how we can incorporate more updates in our workshops to make sure everyone is clear. But it was noted that the merger will take time. And that they will update as they are able to. So those are the deltas that came out of it. But on a positive note, there are a lot more pluses. Overall, I told them to assess from workshop 1 to workshop 4, how are you feeling? They find that there's increased participation and trust, inclusion of everyone in the organizational design and strategy, being more informed about the direction. So there are people who do feel informed about the direction, and building camaraderie with future coworkers. So definitely that transition, what we wanted to build that trust and involve all voices, that's actually working here. So we can see that and we can continue to leverage that as we move forward. So I know you're wondering what's next. So OCVS and youth programs leadership will finalize the chosen mission, vision, and value statements. So I sent those over to them in a PowerPoint presentation, but they can, of course, finalize them. They can wordsmith them, doctor them to how they want those formatted, and have those as their own to keep. Following that, OCVS and youth programs, I believe they did a Strengths Finder assessment. So we want to utilize some time in a future workshop to discuss their strengths. I think that'll also contribute to how they want to organize the structure of the new organization as well. So that'll help that. So Peak, needless to say, we're going to schedule another workshop. This will be workshop 5. I believe this will take place in mid-May. We will take those team names that everyone came up with and we'll do another vote. That's a fun activity where everyone feels included. So we thought that would be a good way to build consensus on what the new team name could be. In addition to the organizational planning we're doing, we have the mission, the vision, the values. Now it's time to develop some goals. How are we going to get to our vision? That's where the goals come in place. And then we're going to help them establish some KPIs or metrics on actions they can take to reach those goals to get to their vision. We also want to bring OSEI back to facilitate the conversation around merging their equity, diversity, and inclusion teams. It's an executive order that every agency has to have their own EDI team. And since these groups are coming together, we have to strategically find a way to merge those teams together to make sure we're doing that in an equitable fashion. So key takeaways from this merger so far. I found that welcoming rituals and optimistic closures were essential in increasing connection and trust among team members. Small and large group collaboration helps build consensus and fosters a culture of teamwork. Creating the space and opportunity for team members to express the things they love as well as their concerns is crucial in understanding the needs of everyone. It's important to know that change takes time, and leading it requires you to understand that people are involved in the processes. So they are the focus because the processes don't exist without the people. And if you aren't willing and able to talk to people and meet them where they are, you will not achieve change. Understanding the needs of everyone through listening, asking questions, and engaging with them is the vehicle to moving forward with change. So these methods for effective change management, they can be applied to all types of changes across the board. So we have a merger here, an organizational change in this specific example, but there's also changes where you have brand new processes being brought into your job duties, brand new technology being put in place. And there's changes that happen where you have a current process and you just have a change to a current process or something that's existing or a change to a current system. But no matter what the type of change is, this methodology can be applied to each of those changes. If you involve people, you're going to build that consensus and you're going to be able to move forward and build that momentum. So these are how you can break down the resistance before it begins. So before I conclude, I do want to put Denver Peak Academy on the spot and give a little more information about us. We do offer trainings to external folks who are in government. We do Greenbelt trainings. That's a 4-hour training, which is an introduction into Peak Academy's process improvement methodology. And then we offer Black Belt training. That is a more intense training. It is 3.5 days. And that is where we take a deeper dive into all of our tools and lessons. That's where our change management module is located. And that one just goes more in depth with our process improvement methodology. So if you are interested in our trainings, if you're interested about learning more about myself and my members of the PEAK team, we're all on the website at www.denvergov.org/Peak Academy. And if you're interested in trainings or want more information, you can also contact us at peakacademy@denvergov.org. And we are also active on LinkedIn. You can follow us at Denver Peak Academy for updates on the work we do in the city and county of Denver. We post daily. We provide pictures. We're always talking about the different projects we're working on, our trainings, posting different articles as resources. So if you're interested in that, please connect with us on LinkedIn. And then I'd just like to say thank you all again for tuning in. And I can now open the floor to questions.
That was so amazing, AJ. Thank you so, so much. I think you have a friend answering questions for you during the actual event, Megan.
Oh, wow.
Megan was answering the questions that had come up, just FYI so far. But if anybody has any other questions, I encourage you to unmute and ask away. Or type in chat, either way. You just got
AJ,
one. How
great
many?
job with presenting. I thought you did an awesome job. This is Aisha, one of her colleagues at Denver Peak Academy as well. Thank you so much for allowing us to attend this. It was so positive and so encouraging just thinking about change management in general. Way to go, AJ. Great job.
Yes, bravo.
Thank you, Aisha.
I have to give a plug for Denver Peak Academy. I took the Black Belt course. It was a 5-day course when I took it years ago. And it is absolutely the best process improvement training I've ever had. And I've had a lot. So that says something. I absolutely love Denver Peak Academy. So you did get some. How many people were in the 2 divisions?
So there's a lot of people on the invite. There's about 25 to 30 people on the invite, but since they're actively involved in the community, less than that actually attended the workshop. So we have about 15 to 20 people actually in the workshops, but they are everyone's still being updated, and no matter where you are, everyone's still being sent the invite. So it's welcome to everyone, but whoever shows up, we're happy with that, so we can work with those people.
And that was kind of my question, was like, is everybody who's impacted with this change involved in it? And so that's a yes, or at least, invited to be involved. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if you can see all the chat too, AJ.
I have to end am I okay to stop sharing? I don't know if people want to take down my information or not. Okay.
Denver Peak and CLN plan to collaborate on learning in 2022? Thanks. Colorado Lean Network is CLN.
I have no knowledge of that. This is my first time hearing of CLN. I don't know if Megan Williams was to jump in, my director, but I do not have any information on that right now.
There's Megan.
Hi, that's a great question. We certainly haven't been approached by CLN, and I can't say as I know who.
Well, you're in luck because we have people on today that are involved in it.
Awesome! Yay! Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I think Doug Oates was the one that commented on that. So I think he just started something there. And there's the link to CLN in the chat. Gary just it was either Gary or it was Courtney. I don't know who for sure shared the link. And then Corey's involved in CLN as well. Corey Niemeyer, he's on the board of PSCP as well.
Nice. I also just want to say great job to AJ on this presentation. I know she put a lot of work into giving you guys a great example today. And I also just want to say how impressed I've been with the work she's done with this group. You know, she started with us in December, and this work started in December. And so the fact that like she has really taken it and made it her own is just a testament to how well she's taken to this work. And I think that like she always had this inside of her. And so we're just so excited and grateful that she is able to bring it out on our team every day.
What a wonderful, that is awesome, AJ. You are wonderful, I can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Megan.
so awesome. Rock star. Very cool. So any last questions for AJ or the team at Peak Academy, at Denver Peak Academy? Anything goes, you can type them in or unmute. This was just an absolutely wonderful presentation. I was taking notes, AJ, because I have a project coming up. So I definitely, I love the welcoming ritual and the optimistic closures. You know, I've done many projects in my career, and it just was a good reminder that we need to do those kind of things. I think it does help. So that was just absolutely fabulous. Thank you, everybody. Round of applause. Yay. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, let me get back here. So thank you. If I can find my pointer, there we go. So thank you again, AJ. I really appreciate you being here. And I really hope that in the future we can definitely connect more, not only in the change management world, but in the process improvement world. I think there's a lot of things that we can leverage from each other. So thanks, Denver Peak Academy, and thank you, AJ. All right, and so before you go, take a moment to complete the survey. If you do complete the survey, it helps us know our pluses and deltas as we move forward, and so that we can continually improve what we're trying to deliver here, because we definitely want to be delivering what you want, right? So please let us know and get involved. Remember my speech from earlier. We want you involved. So please share your stories. Please, you know, let's get involved with writing things for the newsletter. Let's all get involved and start to meet each other and really dive deep. Here's the PSCP website. We added a QR code this morning about 10 minutes before the event. Thank you, Courtney. So you can grab that. You can go to the website. This webinar will be posted along with the slides very shortly. Thank you, Corey, for doing that. And so it should be up there very soon. And then, of course, we have PSCP on LinkedIn. There's another QR code. You can grab that. Make sure to join the PSCP on LinkedIn, because we do a lot of posting in there. And we try to share a lot of information and collaborate that way as well. So with that, there we are to the end of our presentation today, or end of our deck. I'm going to stop sharing. Any last comments, thoughts for the day, or anything like that before we sign off? Okay, I'm going to give you guys back about 7 minutes of your time. Oh, there is the link to the survey. Sorry, Melissa. There we go. Yep, survey link just came on. Click on it right now before you sign off. Fill it out, and we thank you very much. You guys have an awesome week, and more than anything, please stay safe. Thanks. See you guys later.